Hi, good morning everyone. Today I'm going to be talking about a question that just keeps coming up over and over and over. So I thought I would draw a diagram to help explain what we're going to be talking about today. I keep having people ask me about the mud flood, when it happened, why it happened, the shape of our reality, and it goes on from there. So let me get my diagram. Before I start talking, I guess I'm going to show the diagram. I'm going to be posting this on my description so you can pull it up and look at it. But this is basically the diagram that I've come up with. I know it might be a little bit tough to see, but I will be posting it on my description. So I guess let's get started about talking about our reality. And first thing I want to say is this entire thing is Gaia. Gaia used to be this energy being who decided that she wanted to symbiotically create a reality with other energy beings. So Gaia, who used to look like this, who was just like the other things that we see in the sky, they call them stars, and they look like they're constantly morphing. That was Gaia at one point. And then she began to solidify. You'll notice that on the top I put, the moon is the reflection of the bigger earth. We'll have to talk about that moon. It's Gaia. When Gaia was an energy being, she didn't have real form. She was a being. She had a little bit of solidity, but not mostly. And that's why they're always looking like they're morphing. Let me put this down for a second, and we'll talk about this for a minute. When Gaia decided that she wanted to do this, she started to create a shell around her, which means that she was pulling her energy in and literally started creating a crust around the energy being she is. There's actually some examples of this. Have you ever seen where they show you the supposed sun and it's got black spots on it and everyone was freaking out? Oh, it's got black spots on the sun. That's basically what the energy beings do when they decide to become the host for other life to dwell on top of them and in them. They start to crust themselves. They change their molecular structure, well, their energy structure anyway, and become solid. Do you remember when I said that solidity was our finest achievement? Well, that's them solidifying themselves. And then we can go from there. When you look at this, you'll see that she's kind of like shaped like an egg. And on the very top, it's also an eyeball. On the very top is the bigger earth. But the bigger earth is still attached to the rest of Gaia, which is all under the ground. There's actually more stuff going on under than there is going on top. And if you look closely, those little purple things are domes where we've all been domed off. So I did a little dome. Basically, there's the ice wall, there's the artificial dome around us, and then inside of the crater is the land, if you want to call it, and water. I've talked to a few people, and I've tried to say this, and I guess visuals are the best way to do this. In this entire system, maybe I should talk about the craters first. When Gaia started to solidify, she kind of like bubbled up with gases and things, and those created the craters. So when you look at the moon, which is a reflection of the top of this here on the bigger earth, you can see that it's craterish. And those craters are the ones that were domed over because you could basically create any kind of environment in there. So I also saw that there's all these passageways. My hands are kind of blocking some of this. There's all these passageways that go under the ground. And there's a huge sea in here. It's not exactly accurate. It's just a depiction of what I'm seeing. On the bigger Earth, we have water also. Everything out here is water. It is water. It's salted water. Gaia is not the only, if you want to call it a cosmic egg, she's not the only energy being that's created. There are other ones like Gaia in this sea of water that we are in. And this is what cracks me up about space. Everyone says, oh yes, there's space, there's space. It's not space like you think it is. It's salted water, and in the salted water are other Gaias. Well, we'll just call them Gaias, but they're energy beings, just like you and me. They're just on a different stature, because we've been so diminished, and only a part of us is down in this reality, in these bodies. This is a bigger part of that being that can create. If you look into it, I also see that there's energy flowing this way, and there's energy flowing the opposite way, if you can see that, because it's going one direction and going another. And with this flowing of energy, it's the magnetics that run this whole system. Everything in here is run on magnetics. The Antiquitech was based on this because this is the perfect way to create energy. Water, magnetics, and energy. Now, let me see what else we'll talk about. All these are caverns, huge caverns that are under this egg shape in Gaia, where there's populations all in here. And as you see, they're enormous compared to what's here. Now, in our little domes, underneath, we still have a little bit too, because I couldn't draw everything. It was too much. There's more stuff going on under than there is above. Just think, if we're this small in one of these teeny tiny little domes, these little ones up here, look how big it is down here. There's so much more down here. So I will be posting this. I wanted to talk about also these plasmic events, these Samvartaka Fires, why they're happening, and what's going on. Every time we have a Samvartaka fire, because on top, what happens with Gaia is, it's like a top spinning with the energy. When the energy starts to slow down, there's an automatic thing that's set in function, in place, where it'll re-energize itself to get the system working again. And with this, it's like, have you ever had clothes or a robe you threw in the dryer? You got to put a fabric softener sheet in there, or use fabric softener, and when you take it out, it's all ouch, 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 shocking you, or anything like that. Or you get something next to your hair and your static electricity is right there on your hair, and you're like, oh my gosh, I need to do something. Well, it's the same thing with Gaia. When she starts to run low on her energy, she has a system that's put into place where it spins. And when it does this, there's also a flipping. So when you always hear about, we're going to flip, we're going to change, we're going to do this, when it spins, it does a flip. It's really weird looking. I can't really describe it because I'm seeing it from different aspects, but it's weird. A perfect example is our moon. Our moon is completely off now. It's because in 2017 we did that boom, flip. Yeah, we're just not in the same place in space either because we had to be moved. So every time there's the Samvartaka Fires or the plasmic fires, which is actually dancing energy all over the ground going up, it stays for a while. And it's what melts buildings, it's what melts rock, it melts anything, everything. It melts organic, it melts, but everything actually is organic. It can melt metal, that's, whatever. Anything that's synthetic or organic, it'll melt it. And it's so funny because it's not a hot, burning like flames and fire, actually. It's more like it's a hot, slow burn. So it's like the energy is running up through everything, because in the domes, we also kind of have this system here in each of the little domes also with the energy flowing. And what it does is it's so intense with the energies going up that it just burns from the inside out. Burning, 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 melting, melting, melting. Of course, when it gets to its peak with the plasmic fires or the plasmic lightning or whatever you want to call it, then at that point it comes up off the ground, and then we have, looks like true lightning, where it's just frying everything, where some stuff is fried from the top down, and then some stuff is fried from the bottom up. It's a big old mess. You don't want to be there. Odds are you're not surviving. I mean, how are you going to get away from all that electricity that's everywhere? Because it's recharging itself as the unit. So it's like a top spinning. When it slows down, it'll respin. And there we go again. This is why it keeps happening. I've actually seen this Samvartaka Fires twice. Now, we have two types of resets. We have the physical resets that cause devastation in your physical world. And then we have the second reset, which is a mental reset, which that's what we're going through right now, a mental reset. Oh, let me turn this heater off. Then I won't have to be yelling so loud anymore. It gets really cold in here, and our temperatures have been really, really crazy. It's gone up to 77 degrees and smack back down to 30 degrees in a single day. Yeah, it's bad. So when we have these mental resets, they're done, of course, through whatever means. It's always to scare you into doing somebody's agenda. So right now we are and they're doing everything they can to try to put us into another reset, and some of us already have been reset. I had been walking on one of the trails, and I was doing an experiment, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to stop this random guy who looks like he's about my age, and I'm going to point out the moon because it was out in the middle of the day, and it was upside down. And I asked him, I said, what do you think about that moon? And he looked at it, and he goes, well, what about it? I said, isn't it upside down? And he's like, looked at it for a second, and he's like, oh, it's always like that. And I'm like, no. And I began to say, we always had a moon that waxed and waned, left to right, what have you. And we always had the emblems of the little man or boy sitting on the moon with the fishing pole, and also the Alibaba moon with the little star. And he thought about it, and he goes, well, you know, our moon does all different kind of cycles. It can go in all the different directions, and you have a good day now. And I was standing there, and he walked away from me while he was saying, you have a good day now. And I thought, Matrix being, they've already been reprogrammed. They've been reprogrammed to believe that that is our natural moon, and it's always been wavering all over the place with no set pattern. And I thought, okay, the hard reset has already been done in these matrix beings, the NPCs. They've already got their hard reset. So it doesn't matter what you say to them now in this reality. It simply will not compute to them because they've already got the hard reset. So if you're awake and you're watching this, count yourself fortunate that you can see through the BS. So when I see these plasmic events, these Samvartaka Fires, I see too, and I see that because of these plasmic events, they created and caused the mudfloods, the liquefaction, the whatever, and it's all done through the energies, because depending on how high the frequency is with the energies, can solidify things and can melt things and can make things not solid anymore, solidification, I guess, into not being solid, to being solid. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's like saying there is a earthquake out in the middle of the ocean, and now your side effect is a tsunami coming your way. It's the same thing. So everything kind of just falls into place. This causes this, cause and effect, cause and effect, cause and effect, kind of a thing, what I'm seeing. So I just thought that I would go ahead. I am putting this into my description link. There's a lot more stuff. I just couldn't put it in because look how packed that is already. So if you have any questions about this, please let me know and I'll answer them. I'm not doing Skyping anymore. So I think I might start doing diagrams if things are too complicated and you can't understand what I'm saying because you just can't visualize it. I might start doing diagrams on things to help you visualize what have you. But yeah, when I think of most people, if I showed them this, it would be too far out of their reality. The fact that there's no such thing as space like that, that's a big one. I had said this before. In our dome, when we were domed over, that thing above us is a planetarium giving us this space. And I'm sure that a lot of people, once you take that foundation away from them, it's really hard to comprehend then what is out there. What, are we just floating in a never-ending sea? Kind of, yeah. And it takes away their stability of thinking that they have a grasp on things, I'm sure. So I guess I'll probably end it here. Let me think of some of the other questions that were asked to me. Time frames. I'm going to tell you right now, I have the hardest time with time frames. When someone says, give me a time frame for something, it's like, first off, our time has been so manipulated. How do you go back and say, okay, it was this time, but forget that because they added in almost 1,000 years and kind of reversed everything. I'm sure there are videos on there that can do time frames. When I go in and remote view, there's nothing that says it's a certain time. Sorry, but I don't see it. It's like popping into the middle of a jungle. Now, tell me what time do you think it is? I can't even gauge by what people wear because people wear the same kind of clothing for a really long period and I don't know what that period consists of. And then you're like, well, go find a calendar. Oh, that is so much easier said than done, especially when you see things that are not in English. I have no idea. And some of these people have calendars that just look like decorative artwork. The Mayan calendar, for example, I could never begin to tell you what that's about because I don't know Mayan. So I could be standing in front of something telling me time, but I couldn't tell you what that is. So please don't ask me time frames because I don't know. Unless something is in English and I understand the numbers of that, I have no idea. Your guess is as good as mine because that's just not my field. I don't know. So, all right then. I guess that's all I'll talk about. Go to my description, look at my diagram, kind of wrap your head around that. That's what we're in. So, all right then, everybody, have a great day.